welcome you watching the Monday edition of This Is Exclusive with me, Shavan Sen. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight our focus only on two big international stories coming in. First, the hostages have finally been released. But what's really happening inside Gaza? Have things really changed? And can the ceasefire really exist for a longer period of time? This and what's really happening inside Pakistan as protests reach Muridke. And yet again, Shehbaz Sharif's government tries to silence the opposition parties. We'll get you all this and much more in this edition of This Is Exclusive. But first, let me take you through the headlines we're tracking at this hour.
The indispensable help, the determined and focused help, the unremitting help of President Trump and his team, and with the incredible sacrifice and courage of the soldiers of Israel, we are fulfilling that promise.
Meanwhile, Netanyahu reflects back on Trump's peace deal efforts, hails his support.
This is not only the end of a war, this is the end of an age of terror and death and the beginning of the age of faith and hope and of God.
The war is over, says Trump on a historic day for the Middle East. More exclusive videos emerge from Muridke as TLP escalates protests. Shehbaz government completely on the back foot.
आपके इस संवेदनहीन, आपके इस कुशासन और आपकी इस दकियानूसी मानसिकता के कारण आज बंगाल में मां शर्मिंदा है, माटी लहूलुहान है और मानुष बेहाल है.
Mamata Banerjee shames Durgapur rape survivor. BJP hits out at her. Ladies and gentlemen, after more than 2 agonizing years of captivity, Hamas has released the final 20 living Israeli hostages, men who endured unimaginable hardship in the dark, suffocating tunnels of Gaza. The release brokered through intense high-stake diplomacy involving the United States, Egypt and Qatar comes as part of a ceasefire agreement that has, for now, silenced the rockets and gunfire that have defined this conflict for far too long. Yet as Israel celebrates this hard-won victory, the air is thick with both hope and uncertainty. The hostages' return is certainly a triumph, but it also raises questions. Can this delicate truce really hold? Is the return of the hostages really the end of this war? Because certain images really coming in from Gaza seems to be quite contrary to what we really know on the ground. How long will this truce really last? First, take a look at this report and then we go across to our reporters on the ground, getting us a sense of how Israel is celebrating tonight.
The most fitting name ever named for a military operation, because a little after midnight, you really hammered them. Oh, yeah. My friends, this is only a partial list, but it's enough to affirm what I've said time and again. Donald Trump is the greatest friend that the state of Israel has ever had in the White House.
A big breakthrough after 2 years. A painful wait ending in tears of relief. 20 Israeli hostages returned to their families today as part of a ceasefire pausing the war. A convoy of Israeli vehicles, Red Cross jeeps, and buses left off a prison for the occupied West Bank this afternoon, carrying some of the 250 long-term prisoners set to be released in the exchange. With the peace deal in effect, tens of thousands of Israelis watched the transfers at public screenings. A new dawn for the country. The day also saw the visit of US President Donald Trump, who was met with loud claps and warm hugs. He said this is a great day for Israel and US, as America too mourned the greatest slaughter of Jews since the Holocaust.
After 2 harrowing years in darkness and captivity, 20 courageous hostages are returning to the glorious embrace of their families, and it is glorious. 28 more precious loved ones are coming home at last to rest in this sacred soil for all of time. And after so many years of unceasing war and endless danger, today the skies are calm, the guns are silent, the sirens are still, and the sun rises on a holy land that is finally at peace, a land and a region that will live, God willing, in peace for all eternity.
While his address at the Knesset was met with some disruption,
Over and over again,
להוציא את חבר הכנסת עודה, להוציא אותו מהאולם, להוציא אותו מיד, החוצה, 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 להוציא גם את חבר הכנסת כסיף, להוציא אותו מיד.
the Israeli parliament united in lauding Trump for brokering the ceasefire. As the pages turn in history, the big question is if this ceasefire deal will remain in effect.
Well, in fact, my colleague Nick is joining us from outside the Sheba Hospital in Tel Aviv, where the hostages are basically undergoing a treatment. A big day, Nick, for everyone in Israel. Just a quick recap of how Israel is celebrating today. And I'll, of course, come to you with regards to whether at all this truce can really hold, because some images really coming in from Gaza isn't very, very promising right now.
Yes, so you can see here the army helicopters continue to come to the Israeli Sheba Medical Center in the center of Israel, and each time different this is finally coming back. There is a lot of excitement here. Many Israelis came to witness this moment and to see the hostages return after 3 years of trial where they were abused emotionally and physically, almost without words to breathe, food to eat, water to drink, no medication. Some of them were injured on the 7th of October, and nobody could give them any treatment. You can see now some of the hospitals are coming back to their homes, and
get that fixed. Nick, we seem to be having some problem with your audio line. Can you just quickly fix the audio line till the time I just take you through these latest images? These are the live images now coming in of the family members. In fact, it's a historic moment for the family members as well as each and every Israeli today, given the fact that for the last 2 years, this war has been going on in the name of protecting the hostages, bringing them back home, and finally the truce in sight. The question being asked whether at all this can really hold for a longer period of time. Will Israel as well as the Palestinians really be able to hold on to this, given the fact that there is no understanding with regards to who really controls Gaza at this point in time? Nick, I want to come back to you. Sorry, there was a problem with your audio line. If carry on, show us what's really happening outside Sheba Hospital.
Yeah, we can see now some of the hostages are coming back with the helicopters and the minivans and taking them here to the main hospital in Israel, Sheba Medical Center, where the doctors will pick up the hostages, and unfortunately the rate of experience is because This is the first one that was coming to the hospital in the past 2 years, and these has this unique experience in treating hostages over the years, and those people went through hell in Hamas captivity underground, systematic underground, almost without air to breathe, almost no food to eat, and no medication, so services coming. They're injured during the service of the family with bruises, back and human things too. That some of the hostages are coming here, and they are welcomed by the Israeli government officials and by their families and Israelis that also are starting here with this exciting moment. This moment, Israel waited for 2 years. The hostages, their families, and relatives, their loved ones, they were protesting almost every day for the 2 years, and they demanded to do anything in the Israeli government and other governments, countries, organizations to do in order to bring them back and succeed. It's happened. So this is one of the happiest moments in the history of Israel. It is still the most happy day in the last 2 years.
Well, thank you very much, Nick, for getting us the latest details. We seem to be having some problem with the audio line with Nick, who's joining us live from outside Sheba Hospital, where the family members of the hostages are present, and the hostages are also undergoing treatment. Given the fact that they've spent months and months inside those dark tunnels, and remember, many without much food, without much assistance that was provided to them. They were handed over to the Red Cross for further treatment, and finally, now they are back in Israel. Should we focus now to the other big story coming in from Pakistan? Ladies and gentlemen, over the last 1 month or so, a little more than that, Pakistan soon to be have lost control over major parts of the country, starting from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa to Balochistan, and of course right inside Pakistan right now, what was considered to be the stronghold seems to be also now slipping out. The protests that are taking place and images that we have just got a short while back, these are exclusive videos of the videos that have come in from Muridke, where the violence has left Pakistan's Punjab province also reeling. Remember, this was largely seen a province safe for the Shehbaz Sharif government, something that the Pakistani army has been extremely comfortable with, but these are the images that you see on your screens. This video basically shows Pakistani Rangers which were deployed bulletproof armored vehicle to ram and crush cars occupied by Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan workers during overnight clashes that have taken place. The incident, part of a broader government operation to dismantle TLP protest camps, has reportedly resulted in dozens of deaths and hundreds injured, fueling accusations of excessive force and state-sponsored brutality. On your screens right now, these are the latest images that have been accessed, and we're also going to take you through some of the details that we are essentially bringing in right now. A remote mountain pass is now the epicenter of a brewing storm as Afghanistan deploys thousands of Taliban-led troops backed by tanks and artillery into the Wakhan corridor, a 16-kilometer wide lifeline linking Kabul to China and separating Pakistan from Tajikistan. This amid intelligence reports that Pakistan is plotting a strike to seize this strategic strip. Now, what you see right now, these are the latest images now coming in. In fact, let's just listen in to some of the protesters. What is it that they have to say?
No Pakistani. और ये मौजूदा गवर्नमेंट बेतहाशा इस वक्त शैल मार चुकी है और सीधे फायर कर रही है। ये स्टेट फायर G3 के हमारे कारकुनों नो पाकिस्तानियों
ਇਹ ਵੇਖੋ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕੰਟੇਨਰ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਸਾਡੀ ਫੋਰਸ ਹੈ ਸਾਰੀ
ये है वो रेंजर के लोग जिन्होंने हमारे भाइयों को शहीद किया है। अब ये हमारे असार में है और हमारे कायदीन का ज़रूर देखे कि वो पुरअमन तरीके से इनका
लाइव चलाओ लाइव
Well, in fact, things seem to be going out of control for Shehbaz Sharif's government and Field Marshal Asim Munir. Reason being that most of them have now been calling out the Pakistani army for the false promises that they've essentially made. Not just that, also the rebels have all now come together, ensuring that the Pakistani army perhaps cannot continue in the manner that they have done so far. In fact, this is a consolidated report that will give you a sense of what's really happening inside Pakistan, and many would say that this is a situation that we had witnessed back in the 1960s when Pakistan was in complete turmoil. It's a rerun of what we had witnessed earlier.
Pakistan is on the brink of chaos. Islamabad is hunting down its own people. It is official. Pakistan is imploding. Clashes between the Tehreek-e-Labaik Pakistan and security forces took a violent turn. What began as a protest quickly spiraled into deadly clashes. TLP supporters marching towards the US embassy were blocked by the police, leading to chaos. The TLP claims 2 of its men were killed and over 50 suffered injuries. However, locals say that the death toll is much higher, with over 500 feared dead, and the video has also gone viral.
फजर का टाइम हो रहा है और फजर के टाइम पुरअमन मार्च के ऊपर स्ट्रेट फायरिंग की जा रही है। यहाँ पे स्नाइपर चलाई जा रही है, यहाँ पे AK-47 का इस्तेमाल किया जा रहा है, यहाँ पे पुरअमन रहते शहरियों के ऊपर रियासत जो माँ होती है वो अपने बच्चों के ऊपर ये देख के कैसे भ्रष्ट मार रही है। हमारे पास इतने शहीद हो चुके हैं कि हमारे पास उठाने के लिए जगह नहीं है रात के इस अंधेरे में।
Reports suggest TLP chief Saad Rizvi has been shot at multiple times and is now underground.
हमेशा हमारे साथ नाजायज हुआ, आज सब कुछ खत्म हो गया। सैकड़ों कारकुनान के सिरों पे गोलियां मार दी, साद रिजवी के ट्रक पे गोलियां मार दी, उसने कफन बांध लिया। वो कहता रहा कि पुलिस वालों रेंजर वालों तुम मुसलमान हो। अजान हो रही थी फायरिंग की, तुमने गोलियां बरसाई, सिरों पे गोलियां चलाई।
The Pakistani government, meanwhile, has imposed a lockdown in Lahore, shutting down schools, colleges and markets. These are clear signs that Asim Munir is losing grip on Islamabad. In the face of the violence, Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has decided to run away to Egypt, shrugging responsibility. The regime has hit back, roads blocked, protesters have been beaten, and a desperate government calling its own people traitors. The TLP branded Pak's Munir Sharif regime as one of the tyranny of Pakistan. But the world sees the truth, a nation imploding under its own bullets.
Pakistani forces have opened fire on Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan protesters that were holding a long march from Lahore to Islamabad to gher out the US embassy against the killings of civilians in Gaza. Early this morning, the police from the Lahore, all 85 police stations, arrived at the venue where in Murid Ke the TLP workers are holding the protest, and they started shelling at the innocent workers that were part of this long march, in which several of the workers are said to be dead. The locals have alleged that over 500 people have died, and now the authorities are taking their bodies to unknown location. The fate of Saad Rizvi also remains unknown, as the major stage that he was holding and addressing the gathering was also burnt by the administration, and now there has been a complete chaos that is prevailing in Murid Ke and the nearby areas.